This is C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate, aka C.B.A. in abbreviation or acronym. I thought I'd do the Papa John's Business Advocate video early. And from what I've seen with CNBC's video in direct topic of the Papa John's, and from what I've seen even thus far, even out in the real world, Papa John's is not really doing that well. Um, the the pizza chain of Round Table and Pizza Hut, Domino's, Little Caesars. Now, Little Caesars is hurting though. They are hurting even in this particular pandemic situation. Um, will they be able to recover? Possibly. But one thing that they will be able to recover from is by the fact that they're using the same concept as Roundtable and Pizza Hut and Domino's are using um, their own industry branded delivery system. Papa John's, however, is going to lose out. Yeah, we all know of the founder of Papa John's. I guess his name is John Schneider's, whichever. Um, anyways, the founder of Papa John's, he was too into himself. Some analysts even say that that's what possibly also went to where the unpopularity went to is that he spent too much on himself and the commercials, but very little, if any, even to the points of moderate for the company, which basically would have been able to build up the quality of its product. Aside from the the slogan "Better Pizza," essentially, better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's type of logo, or essentially advertising statement. And aside from the fact that it was sued by the larger chain Pizza Hut, um, although Pizza Hut really didn't have to do that, really. They kind of pulled themselves down by doing that. The one thing though is there's gonna be always a one particular, shall we say, franchise or general industry competitor saying that they're better than the ones that they are essentially secretly, even to a small percentage, competing against to get to see if they can get uh, foot traffic more in their locations than their known competitors that are possibly even larger than Papa John's. The name, then just to basically point in perspective though. But the one the one thing is that John is that the founder, and I'm not going to mention his name because he's no longer with the company apparently. Even though he founded Papa John's. Uh, the one thing is that analysts also say is that is that when it came to the sales of Papa John's pizzas, and and be that of course their annual percentages or what have you, even in annual sales monthly as well as yearly, the the NFL, even though they were contracted with the NFL and as well as Major League Baseball, um, the the one thing is that everybody knows that more often than not, they would show the founder of Papa John's and football more so than they've ever shown with the founder of Papa John's and the Major League Baseball. Which basically they had apparently a longer standing and a longer stable standing at the time with the NFL. But outside the racial slur that the founder of Papa John's later apologized for and made a statement beyond that point, and even after the board members of the company essentially wrote him out and essentially evicted his ass out of his own company that he created. Logically, he's not really separated from the company. No founder can be actually separated from what they created. But in the business concept, he is. But in the founding of it, he will always be known for it. And if he wasn't too into himself and trying to make him into some sort of star or popular figure, you could say that Papa John's would possibly be somewhere where Little Caesars is right now in the sales percentage, or even where Pizza Hut was before Domino's sales and sales percentages uh, didn't go too far, but it went a moderate percentage ahead from Pizza Hut. And for a time, even in the beginning of Papa John's, even before Papa John's went into the NYSE, especially, that and within the stockholders and whatnot and shareholders, that Pizza Hut dominated the pizza industry, even though for a time it was said that Round Table as well as Straw Hat dominated the pizza industry between 60 and 70. But then after Pizza Hut was essentially no longer in existence, Pizza Hut eventually took the reins from Straw Hat and essentially went into almost a head-to-head competition with Roundtable, and eventually they beat him. And in some respect, I think it's because Roundtable's slogan, known to be one of the last honest pizzas, they're not very honest. They're a little high priced, but not very honest. And even outside of the controversy or controversial particular situation that tied in with Domino's and their delivery drivers, that really hurt them actually, to where many people went to the points of going to get their pizzas on their own and or going into pizza parlor establishments like Round Table and what have you else, and also Shakey's Pizza for a time, and eating it there versus having it delivered in a low cost venue, if you will. But the one thing is also is that I can tell you even from personal experience, when I first tasted the Domino's Domino's pizza, it did taste like cardboard. When I first tasted it years ago, many years ago, like 1990 something. But since then, I've eaten various numbers of pizza places, especially Papa John's, and even somewhat recently, within this year, I got Domino's, and Domino's Pizza has completely done themselves in a positive light. So much so that they basically are continuously dominating Pizza Hut and Round Table and also Little Caesars. Although they're not really in direct competition with Little Caesars because Little Caesars is pretty much in the same boat as Papa John's in the business concept or business aspect actually. Um, when Pizza Hut started, it was still in the aspect of dining in, the dine in concept like Round Table and Strat and several others besides Shakey's Pizza essentially. But when Pizza Hut got rid of their dining in concept and their structures, where they either sold them or closed them and left them essentially abandoned. Um, I can say they did it in too hasty of a way. They could have easily kept their original concept and then gradually, not so swiftly like they did, but gradually expand to where they still have the dine-in concept, but also they in their newer locations they'd be able to vamp up to say a delivery concept. That would have helped. That would have helped them stay in the lead. But of course they thought they were too big and too popular that they would be able to do pretty much anything and everything that they felt was profitable for them, but not really economically sound. Um, the aspect of where Papa John's founder essentially later was again completely oust from his own founded company that he founded and started essentially was a little about maybe a year and a half or a few months after a number of months after actually the disassociation of the NFL partnership with Papa John's. Then of course less than about a few months after, Pizza Hut became the official sponsor of the NFL. But of course, that didn't last very long because it was only for profitability really, and there hasn't been any actual proof of saying of where they would be still the official founder of the NFL. But Papa John's being the main topic, the founder can be brought back in, just like the famous clone from Jack in the Box was brought back in after the mid early '90s uh, revamping of the company and its restaurants. With the clown drive-through concept, with the speaker on the clown, with the speaker device on the clown, was completely taken out. Um, I'd say the only way that would be possible for the founder of Papa John's to be brought back in even by shareholders and by the corporate execs is that he needs to quit seeing dollar signs. He needs to quit seeing himself as a better person than those that are in TVs and radio and various others, uh, who made a name for themselves without the high expectation of stardom essentially, or even notoriety as well. Um, but also he would need to keep away from his sinful baloney of saying that he didn't really mean what he said when he did a racial slur. Because basically if you do that, sometimes you're almost expected to be doing that again, then again, then again. Whenever you feel frustrated, aggravated, or whenever it may suit you emotionally as well as psychologically. Um, that could that in itself could hurt the company even today. Even with the fact that the revamping of the company, in which the corporate execs of Papa John's brought in outside of Shaq, they brought in a person that helped revamp Arby's, which was later than at the time I believe known to be a sister franchise to Wendy's. At the time of the moderate revamp or the start out of the revamp of Arby's. In in some in some ways, if not many ways beyond, it's easier to revamp um, fast food franchises in the sense of McDonald's, Burger King, Carl's Jr., and various others. It's not going to be that easy, regardless if they do decide to go into, um, shall we say, options, side plate options in the sense of buffalo wings and various others like Round Table and Pizza Hut and Domino's gradually went into. But of course, I know that Domino's is probably going to be the first one to fall out on that one eventually. Roundtable might be hurting with a basic refusal of stepping away from the side plate options. Um, and I'd say Pizza Hut would have no alternative but to follow the same suit in the sense of getting rid of their side plate options if they have any still. Um, but Papa John's did start out as a delivery concept where you'd be able to go over to them or even order by phone and pick it up. Um, Much like that one of the Jack in the Box restaurants had, where for a time they had a a concept where there was no seating, absolutely no seating, where you just went in, ordered what you wanted to get, got it, and went out the door. And at times, and certain depending on the location, they added outdoor seating. But if it was raining, there's no way in hell people would be sitting in the rain. No, 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 no. And even if they loved it when it rained, it didn't matter. Um, but Papa John's is going to be hurting for a while longer. In all aspects, I'd say Roundtable will eventually be, yeah, they'll eventually hurt at some point. But Papa John's in itself, There is one particular concept they can do to start. Do the old way of Pizza Hut without using the same conceptualizations as Pizza Hut did in its first beginnings in the dine in concept. That could level the playing field a little bit, even in today's day and age. But it doesn't mean revamping their current takeout restaurant and takeout locations. It just means find a particular location that's that's not anywhere remotely close, even in miles perspective, but close enough for the people to get to, but not too close to their takeout delivery aspects. But also with their takeout delivery aspects, in they would need to add their own delivery system without using third party, because third party can fucking it can totally screw them up financially as well as economically. And with that though too is with the fact that it will and it can and eventually will show in its stock percentages, it will be a longer time for them to revamp themselves, even after the fact of having one that revamped Arby's to try to reinitialize the the pizza establishment of Papa John's, which basically he has more than he bargained for in the first place. He may even have realized that even before I did this video. Um, the one thing is also is that they could also do what's known as a state by state celebration of its founding. That could also bring some people in if they do low cost, affordable pricing on their pizza delivery system and the pizzas that they make essentially, uh, and it doesn't matter wouldn't matter the size, and get rid of their third party um, concept of delivery, reestablish their own like Round Table, Pizza Hut, and Domino's, and then gradually go into the dining aspect, which essentially you could think that they would think that it would force Pizza Hut to do the dine-in concept again, although Pizza Hut doesn't have the financial backing to do that because they completely screwed themselves by obliterating it just so they can focus on the competition aspects of the delivery or takeout aspect or fast takeout aspect essentially. Um, it would it would be more than a number of years for Pizza Hut to reinitialize itself to go into the dine-in aspect as well as keep its takeout and delivery aspect. Um, and essentially in the pizza competitive market. Um, though you could say that McDonald's could do the same thing of establishing their own. And so can many other fast food franchises could do the same thing, establish their own concept of delivery service without using third party backing or delivery essentially. Uh, because that will eventually make each of those um, franchises hurt more than they are even with this particular pandemic. that we're dealing with at this very current point in time. um, so Papa John's has a choice, though, doesn't it? I mean, they could bring back the facing of the founder, not really the person in general exactly, but the facing the founder to celebrate their founding and whatnot. As I mentioned earlier, and kind of build up from there. But they'd have to do it in such a way that they are not completely putting themselves into early bankruptcy or even remotely close to Section 11. They also would have to do it in such a way that not even Pizza Hut would be able to establish or reinitialize their founding of when they first started, because it was much later than Papa John. Um, Even though Papa John's was established in the 1990s, but they started within the late 80s by with the one location. Um, so outside of all that, at current, Papa John's may have to close a number of their locations, even the ones that they had while the founder essentially was still with them. Um, in order to get some financial stability, and at current, it could be a number of the ones that are doing good. It could be the number of ones that were doing good for a time, but now are kind of falling back. And they would have to start with the international ones by closing those. Um, and then maybe on a gradual scale, close on certain ones that are not doing so well in the market within the U.S. Then once they get enough financial backing along with the base of sales, then they would be able to rebuild themselves from that point on. But starting with the dining in concept, they would have to do it. They'd have to establish it in such a way that they know that they would be able to make a deeper profit economically as well as financially, to where they don't overspend while doing so. Um, that right in a nutshell is the concept. But they wouldn't be able to do any promotional deals with contracting with anybody, not even the NFL itself. Um, because I don't think that the NFL, even with the new corporate running people outside of Shaq, or execs especially. That I don't think the NFL wants to have almost a repeat, which basically is a smart thing if they refuse to ever have any dealings with Papa John's again for a certain length of time anyway. And of course, Pizza Hut would have to disassemble themselves from the contractual agreements between the NFL because they haven't really used them in in any form since the last time they did. That I can tell you would be economically sound for the two Papa John's as well as uh, Pizza Hut. In the case of Round Table, Round Table is pretty much on its own. because they basically went to the high pricing concept outside of Shakey's um, and Straw Hat's low cost concept, which basically seen that they got rid of those two. They figured they'd be able to stay at a high price concept, and yet that can hurt them even way more than they realize. It doesn't matter how long the company's been in business. If they raise their prices just because they think they can obliterate the competition, and even with the only a beginning part of the competition was gone after a number of years, and then they boost up their pricing, regardless of what the reason is, and then they find that they have other competition that are lower cost than they are. Essentially, Roundtable will eventually be non-existent, much like Shakey's and much like Straw Hat. Although Straw Hat for a time wasn't completely gone in the West Coast, um, even though it had its own franchised establishment in Half Moon Bay. That location has since, from what I know, it since when it was gone after a while. Um, but I'd say if Papa John's doesn't do anything in what I suggested, you could easily say that they will be the like Pizza Hut and Shakey's and Circuit City and Mervin's to the points of non-existence. And so, um, the one thing is that I'm gonna implore that Papa John's, as well as Round Table, as well as um, Domino's, as well as Little Caesars. Okay, I'm gonna put them in perspective here, and a section at a time. Round Table, lower your prices to the base of affordability like you had it many years when Straw Hat was around. Um, Papa John's, establish your own delivery service system. And see, Pizza Hut. I'm not wrong in saying that you jumped the gun metaphorically too damn quickly and to better compete with the takeout and delivery concept. Mountain Mike's, however, is following the same concept as, into a moderate percentage anyway, as Roundtable in the pricing, especially. They should lower their prices as well. Um, because Mountain Mike's is gradually becoming non-existent as it is. Papa John's could easily follow the same suit. Roundtable would definitely follow the same suit if they don't lower the prices. And if they are refusing to lower the prices, then in order to really lower their prices, they're going to have to get rid of their side options if it's too costly for them to do so, to lower the prices on their pizzas to start with, because of the high cost possibly, or high percentage, or the cost effectiveness of their side dishes are probably too hefty for them in their economic standing. They're going to have to do so in order till they're able to afford to keep a low cost, low a more affordable pizza pricing, as well as to where they would be able to gradually bring back the side dishes. Now, could that work, or would that work? I'd say it would, but they'd have to do it in such a way that they would be able to gradually get back of what they lost or what they feel they have lost essentially, but mostly of what they logically lost, not what they felt that they lost essentially. Um, then they would gradually be able to build themselves up economically and then gradually bring those side dishes back for round. But first, of course, before they did that shit, is that they would have to literally and without question, without hesitation, lower the pricing of their pizzas, and also have the same have a still free delivery. Um, that's the only way they'd be able to save themselves to start with. And I'd say for Roundtable, they could even do a takeout and deliver concept, just like Pizza Hut did, but still keep their dine-in concept. But in order to do that, they would have to keep their prices lower than they are right now. To start with, um, in the sense of Papa John's, you Papa John's needs to really, 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 really look deep within of what is really holding them down. Because even with the founder and his stardom um, in his little demented little mind, the basic fact is that with the fact that they got rid of him, they haven't really focused on what can be done to repair the damage that he caused, that the founder caused. The one thing is that it may take longer than they would want to essentially work on, or even take the time to work on, or even try to even and to where like they even would try to ignore and try to brush off when you cannot do that because it will still be right there and that could build up over time and regardless of how much you ignore it, Papa John's, the more you ignore it, the worse it'll get for you. It's the same with any business, even outside the pizza concept, even outside the fast food franchise concept, even outside the retail concept of each of those industries. That is. So logically, roundtable, lower your prices, keep free delivery, and also logically, Pizza Hut gradually get back to the dining in concept, but keep your delivery and takeout concept, even if you have to scale back on that a little bit. Um, to start, and then gradually build it back up, and then and Papa John's. Even if you have to scale back on your international and aspects of what have you of your business, and scale back a little bit on the American aspect of the takeout and delivery. Besides establishing your own delivery service system, uh, you could gradually, even a location at a time, ever so gradually, like White Castle's doing. Um, open and start running dining in concept of Papa John's. That way, you would be able to gradually do side dishes outside of the delivery, the takeout and delivery aspect, or general, you know, concept within your own franchise. Now, this may take some time. All of what I said, this may take some time. Even for Mountain Mike's, and if Mountain Mike's did the same thing that I suggested of Round Table, Pizza, Little Caesars, although Little Caesars could switch from takeout and delivery to dining in way before even Papa John's, because they already have in still in its infancy, of course. They've already got their own delivery service if it is their own without using third party. But if it is third party, then they need to rescale back drastically. Um, then everything would be okay on each one, and they'd still be able to have a steady competition between one another. And Papa John's would possibly be able to get in the scales between Round Table, Mountain Mike's, Pizza Hut, Domino's, and be where Domino's was once in accordance to Pizza Hut, and then eventually go over to where Pizza Hut is at current right now, and where Pizza Hut could be where Domino's is, and or essentially Domino's and Pizza Hut could be kind of half and half on the economic scale. But also, here's another one. Much like I did, and much like I mentioned on the concept that what White Castle is doing and what In and Out's doing, in the sense of having no connection with the NYSE and their stockholders and shareholders, they can easily scale back out of that and be a private company, and they would save way more money, way more economic values, and be able to take care of not only not only the business itself but also their employees a lot better than they have, and therefore they have a better economic standing even in the competitive market alone. That's something to think about. If you have any questions, you can also talk with us on our C.R.P.H.A. CBA Business Advocate Facebook page or on the bottom of the comment section below. And we will answer your questions as quickly as possible. But also, do note, I've been thinking about this for some time, Ash, and it it's more than logically sound for each one of the for Papa John's as well as the other competitors within the same industry or franchise. Um, this is C.R.P.H.A. CBA Business Advocate. Stay safe, stay healthy and strong, and Donald Trump for 2020, and have a good day.